You can see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So let me go through just a quick, I'm going to recall what we talked about yesterday. So for SB12, there's two compliance options to meet building code. The first one is prescriptive path, which we went through last week. The second one is compliance path. Compliance path means you have to do energy modeling to meet building code compliance. Now, what you could do on the third one is Energy Star or R2000 homes, but we don't have time to cover it today. So today I'm just going to focus on a bit of the prescriptive, but also mainly focus on talking about performance path, which is energy modeling and what that means. Now, if you think about energy modeling, you need to understand that you have to do energy simulation to show that your house, the way you want to design it, will consume just as little energy as the building code house. So if you were to build this house just like building code, the house that you're proposing through energy modeling must consume the same or less energy compared to the reference house. So on the reference house, we talked about last time that you need to comply with the prescriptive path, right? So remember on the prescriptive path, you have to say A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and there's different way to comply. And the way to comply with these packages is you go nominal, maximum, or minimum effective RSI. So these three options. So either one of them will get you to the prescriptive path compliance. Last week, we went through this table to show how we get to meeting different compliance options. And doesn't matter which path you pick, you must adhere to all the components. So you cannot pick and choose. You must go with A1, all of A1, or A2, all of A1, or A2, and then A3, A4, A5, and A6. So this is what you have to compare to if you were to do energy modeling. So if you wanted to do energy modeling and show that your house consumes same amount or less energy than the A1 reference, you can pick any of the package as a comparison. Most people will just pick A1 as a reference house for your comparisons. So there's a few rules in order for you to comply using the performance path. And the performance path said, there's a few things that you have to follow. But again, if there's any question on the prescriptive path, please speak up, because I can't really see who's asking questions with their hands up when I'm presenting, because I only have one screen here. But if there's any question, we can answer it as we go. But one thing it's really important is that whichever package you need to model, you need to follow the full package. You cannot pick and choose. And there's some tricks that you have to follow when you do energy modeling. And most people choose energy modeling for just because when they have a house, when they have a design, have an over 20% window to wall ratio. So if your house has 20%, or sorry, over 22% window to wall ratio, you do energy modeling. But today, I'm going to give you 8 reasons why you want to do energy modeling instead of doing prescriptive path. That's what this section is going to be about today. So I wanted to share with everybody again. Last week, I shared some paperwork on my end, which is how to calculate effective RSI values. You're going to want to learn this as an architect, because in the next version of building code compliance, however you want to build your house, or above grade walls and below grade walls, you want to know what the total effective R value is. In this case, this one shows 5.25. And that's about an R31, exposed floor. If you build better than the building code, the next version of building code will acknowledge that you built better by giving you upgrade points. You need to collect 20 upgrade points to meet compliance in the next version of building code. So today's knowledge that you're learning, it'll be very helpful for you in the future when you learn the new building code, which is something I am more than happy to walk you guys through with that presentation, because I have done a presentation for NRCan, Natural Resource Canada, on how to teach builders to comply with the next version building code. And architects are going to be the first one that you want to learn this, because you're their first contact. So this is a way of calculating the effective RSI, but I gave you my examples on it, and you can use those to learn how to calculate effective RSI. Yes, you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, if you are not bored of us, yes, we'd be happy to take that session, maybe in the next year, like, or soon, whenever you decide to do it.
No, I think what this group is doing is for a really, really good cause. So I'm more than happy to volunteer my time to help people to adopt to the new building code as well. So I am more than happy and humble to be able to share my building code knowledge with your group. If you need help, feel free to reach out to me, because I believe in what you're doing, and kudos to you guys. So I like to support this for like your cause, basically.
Appreciate it.
So awesome. Okay, so I also wanted to remind you that under section note number 6, A1 allows alternative. So A1 says R20 blanket. So if you go here, it says R20 CI, right? R20 CI. Note number 6 says if you want to finish your basement and you want to use a drywall finish, you can build with 2x4 at R12 batt and a R10 continuous insulation. That's what the building code is saying. So this slide here is showing you that you can build your basement like this with an R20 blanket, or you can go R10 CI plus R12. These are equivalent for the purpose of the building code. They're equivalent, all right? That's basement insulation. And I also wanted to explain to you that this is how you would calculate the effective RSI, for those two assemblies. So if you think about it, but below grade basement wall, there's different layers of insulation for these basement walls. And as an architect, it's a good idea to have an understanding of how to calculate effective RSI values, but really an energy advisor should be helping you to calculate this. And I can help you to understand how to calculate this. You don't need to do this. I have done like many calculations, so many of them. Anytime you have a question, I can give you examples and show you how to calculate them. It's all there for you. It's super convenient. So, but for your own knowledge, it's great to look at the example that I gave you in the book, in the workbook, and also try to complete those exercises yourself to understand how these numbers are came about. What's important on this slide is I want to show you, although they say that R20 CI is equivalent to R12 plus 10 CI, the effect of R value of these assembly is not the same. They're the same in terms of code compliance, but the actual effectiveness of these assembly, it's not the same. So you can see here, R20 CI. Oh, okay, come on, you're not. Okay, it's not working again. So R20 is R20.84. This R21.12 is R21.12. So if you are interested in understand how to get these numbers, like where did these numbers come from, this is the way they calculate it to reflect these R20.84. Again, it is critical for you to learn this for the next version of building code, because you're gonna get bonus points when you learn this. Skill for building code compliance. Now, I don't have time to walk you through the whole process. And if you want to learn it, we can have a separate session, or you can go through the examples and try to figure out what they mean by concrete 200 millimeters. Like basically, this is 8-inch concrete. and it gives you examples on how to collect these, or how to document and reference these effective RSI numbers. And this is just the total of all the numbers that you're getting. So this is just an example to show you what it would take for you to learn something like that, in the future. So that's basically prescriptive path. Now, why did I wanted to show you these numbers? Because when I do energy modeling, the way you build your building matters. Although they're deemed equivalent prescriptive path, they're the same. But in energy performance, this wall system is actually more effective compared to the R12 plus R10 CI. So R21.12 is more energy efficient than 20.84. I can also tell you that an R20 blanket wall is much cheaper than an R12 plus R10 CI wall. As a builder, as a home client, as a homeowner who wants to do renovations, this wall is probably the cheapest wall you can build to meet compliance when you're building to SB12. So if your client is cost sensitive, you should also understand the costing and then how it impacts the energy efficiency of the home when you go through your design. Okay, coming back to the performance compliance. So there's two ways we comply, right? There's prescriptive path and there's performance path. This is the performance path EEDS, so Energy Efficiency Design Summary. So this is the form we have to fill in order to apply for a building permit. Under the performance compliance path, there's 3 ways for you to comply using this form. There's SB12, there's Energy Star, and then there's R2000. Now, today, we're only going to focus on SB12. We're just going to talk about SB12. Energy Star R2000, that's a completely different training, and I don't have time to go through it. So we're going to skip it to a different day. But if you guys are interested, I can explain more about that. Because in Toronto, TGS, which is Toronto Green Standards, building to Energy Star is mandatory. So if any one of you is building in Toronto, and if you have a subdivision or a development has 5 or more units, you must build to Energy Star. So that's a different discussion. Okay, so here are the 7 set of rules. Maybe. Yeah, I have to do this training. Can you give me some time? I'll talk to you afterward, okay?
And then you make money to buy it.
Yeah, okay.
It's birthday.
Okay. Okay, you can go. Okay, baby?
And then always go and have fun.
Of course you can.
And to see the dirty, and then I can always know to clean them.
Yes.
Let's put it in.
Daddy has to do this. You shut the door and then I'll come talk to you afterward, please, baby. I'm sorry about that, my little girl.
You.
Okay, let's get back to her. Thank you, Jacqueline. See you. Sorry about that. That's one of the funs to teach from home. It's she likes to audit my work. Okay, so let's go back to performance compliance path. So these are the 7 rules I have shortened for you. The first rule says you have to simulate an NRO energy. So basically, if you want to use the performance compliance, you have to do an energy modeling to show that this is how much energy I would consume if I were building to the building code. And then this is how much energy I would consume if I were to building the way I want to build. And I have to make sure that I split this energy to show that it is more energy efficient. So number 1 is I need to simulate the energy of this house. Number 2 is I need to make sure I energy model.
Dad,
yes.
you do?
It's coming. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me just put her to a Sorry, guys. Let's continue again. I put it away. Okay. The second rule is we need to ensure that we use identical buildings. Now, there's an asterisk at the end. Basically, you have to do energy modeling, and you have to ensure that you model the same geometry for these buildings, except under one condition. If your design is over 22% window to wall ratio, so the highest building I have done in the past is 64%. That's the highest one, 64% window to wall ratio. That is my my maximum, net limit. I have reviewed a drawing for another energy advisor that their design was 89% window to wall ratio. So what happens when you have such a high window to wall ratio? So the building code house, so the reference house, you have to model it at 22% at the most. That is your limit. And then the house that you're designing, which is called the proposed design, it will be modeled at 64% window to wall ratio for my example. And then for the one that I reviewed for my associate, there is at 89% window to wall ratio. So basically, when I say identical buildings, it's only not identical if you have a very high window to wall ratio. You have to model the reference house, which is the building code package, at 22%, and whatever you design at the actual design. So that's number two. That's where it says identical building. That's the only exception. Otherwise, if it's at 17% for the building code house, it will be 17% at your proposed design. So when I say reference house, it's reference table A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. Those are the reference house design. And that is any of the package from table 3.1.2.1, which is what you saw earlier. Now, what you have to ensure is that your proposed design's energy consumption has to be less or equal than the reference. So for the case where you have a lot of windows, that means your walls are very little because you have more windows area. That means less wall area. It means that you have to do a lot more energy efficient upgrade on your proposed design to meet or exceed the reference house consumption. And that's the whole purpose of energy modeling. The building code wants you to make your home more energy efficient if you have large window to wall ratio. Now, in the next version of building code, right now, they're asking you to not only include window glazing, they're going to ask you to include door area as well. So they don't call it window to wall ratio anymore. They call it like fenestration to wall ratio. And that includes doors and sliding doors and also actual door opening, opaque doors. So that's going to be a new change you guys have to learn. Regardless, your proposed design has to be more efficient or equal to the reference house. So that's the rule number 3. Rule number 4 is the reference house package, you must select from table 3.1.2.1 according to the way you're building. So again, if you're building in zone 1, which is what this table refers to, zone 1 is less than 5,000 square feet, heating degree days. Zone 1 is less than 5,000 heating degree days. Zone 2 is more than 5,000 or more, right? So in Toronto, we're at 3,900 heating degree days, and the limit is 4,999 heating degree days belongs to zone 1. Anything 5,000 or higher, it's zone 2. And whatever you're building, you need to pick the reference package for the location where your house is going to be built. That's really critical. So make sure you don't use the wrong table to pick your reference house. Number 5 is recognized software. You have to use a software that is approved by the building code. And what that is we use something called HOT 2000 to do the energy modeling, but there's other programs like Wolfie or Passive House or RemRate. Those are other software that's recognized by the building code, and you can use those to do your energy modeling as well. So that's number 5. It has to be a recognized software. You can't just use any software you can buy in the market to do energy modeling. It has to be recognized. Number 6 is maximum 25% downgrade in the thermal envelope of your house. So what does this mean? It means that you can make your home very energy efficient by putting in an air source heat pump in it. You can put in a geothermal heating system into the house. You can put in an air source heat pump hot water heater in the home to make the energy very, very low. But some people are going to downgrade their insulation to save money. They allow you to downgrade the amount of insulation, but no more than 25%. So that's what this is saying. You can make your house less thermally protected, but no more than 25% downgrade. Because if you put in let's say you put in a bunch of solar panels and a very energy efficient, geothermal system in the home, and then put in zero insulation in the wall, theoretically, you could do that because I can put in a very energy efficient system and conserve my energy very, very well. But if my building envelope has no insulation, it's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be very dangerous for the occupant. So the building code doesn't want people to do that. So they have a limit on how much insulation you can downgrade, up to 25%. This is actually to preserve the integrity of the building envelope. But 25% is a huge, huge bonus. I'll explain why this is a huge bonus when we get there. Okay, so we'll park this one when we go further into the discussion today. And then number 7 says compliant with 3.1.1. Basically, anything in chapter 3.1, you need to comply with it. Basically, it's like, your attic hat just got to be R20. Your truss, your eave compression minimum has to be R20. Those type of requirement. That's 3.1.1. So these are the 7 sets of rules that you must follow if you were to do energy modeling for building code compliance. Is there a question? Okay, so Toronto is zone 1. Toronto is in zone 1, and the heating degree days is around 3,600, 35 something. So 3,600, around 3,600. That's the Toronto heating degree days. And the link I sent last time when we did the session, you can go to the link and type in the address, and it will tell you what the heating degree day is. But that's where you can find the heating degree day for your project. Now, there is a table that you must follow if you're also doing energy performance, and that is table 3.1.2.1, specifications for the reference and proposed building design. So when you do energy modeling, you have to comply to this table. This table gives you instructions on how to comply with it. So that is something we'll cover later on, but let me give you the 8 reasons why we do performance compliance, okay? So this is the 8 reasons to use SB12 compliance through the A and J easy way. So rule number 1 is when you build a building that has a lot of window to wall ratio, something like this, then you have to go through energy modeling. Anytime when you have over 22% window to wall ratio, you must go through energy modeling. That is a given, okay? And when you go through energy modeling, here is the rule. It says that any house that is over 22%, up to 22%, the U value has to be compliant with this table as per 3.1.1.1. So when you go to the building code and you go to this section, they'll say, A1, anybody remember what A1 is asking for the U value? It's U 1.6 if you don't remember. So that is the U value for reference building. If your window ratio is between 17% and 22%, the U value of your window must be upgraded. That's what the second sentence says. U value is required to be upgraded as per 3.1.1. So if you're below 17%, you can use whatever the U value is on A1 or whatever a package you choose. But if it's between 17 and 22%, your U value has to be upgraded as per 3.1.1.1. Note number 8. And if the proposed fenestration to wall ratio exceeds 22%, and then the fenestration area of the reference building shall be reduced proportionally among each exposure until the 22% is met. Basically, if you have a lot of windows around your house, you need to ensure when you do energy modeling that the window is reduced proportionally around the four sides of the home to meet 22%. So you need to downgrade your amount of glazing to 22% for the reference building design. And then if you're doing the proposed building design, you have to model the exact amount of glazing. So you can imagine a house that has a lot of window to wall ratio. The house for the proposed design is going to consume much more energy because you have a lot more window area compared to the reference house, because the reference house will always have to be at 22%. But the proposed design has to be at whatever the proposed design percentage is. In my case, it's 64%, right? So windows is less efficient compared to the walls. So you need to reflect that in your energy modeling. And that's why energy modeling can be very complicated when you have a large window to wall ratio. But this is the requirement saying that this is how you should model these two houses when you have a window to wall ratio that's over 22%. Because this is the mandatory requirement if you have a design that's over 22%. You must do energy modeling. So that's reason number one, is to build that dream home that has a lot of window to wall ratio. Okay, reason number two is keeping your costs down. So windows are very expensive. And if you want very high performance window, it will cost even more money for you to get that window, to buy that window for your home. So how do I keep the window cost down? So here's the thing. So remember that table, A1 says 1.6, right? ER25. What I could do is I could install an air source heat pump into your home to save a lot of energy. And then rule number 6 before says I could downgrade my building envelope up to 25%. So instead of using 1.4 windows, because my window to wall ratio is at, let's say 23%, instead of using a 1.4 window for the house, because I have installed a very efficient mechanical system to reduce my energy consumption, I'm also allowed to downgrade my building envelope as much as 25%. So installing a air source heat pump is in the thousands of dollars of range. Let's say it's going to be $6,000, at the most to install an air source heat pump. But if I go from a 1.4 window back down to a 1.6 window, it could be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on the house. So that's why a lot of people like to do energy modeling regardless, because if I have to use a 1.4 window and I have a chance to use a 1.6 window to save costs, then it is still more cost effective to do energy modeling compared to just go with the prescriptive option of 1.4 windows. So that's the second reason.
Jack, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So the U values used in this chart here, are there the U values, they are including glass and frame together?
Yes, it's the total. Very good question. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Still the question is coming.
Yeah. It's the overall. It's the whole assembly, not just a part, but the whole assembly.
How can I split that?
The framing, the glass, the edge, everything.
How can I split it?
How do you split it?
Yes.
You cannot split it.
Okay.
You cannot. It has to be the whole assembly. So it's the overall effective. So when you talk to the window manufacturer, you have to specify that I'm looking for the overall performance of the glass, not just center of glass, because many times I have experienced that the salespeople will give you the center of glass value only, which is a very, very efficient number. and you think that it's compliant, and then when they ship you the product, the overall performance is actually not at 1.6 or 1.4, it's actually at 2. Then you just screw yourself over, because the glass is not like the whole window assembly is not compliant. So it's very important that you ask for the overall performance of the glass, not of the whole assembly, not just the glass.
Okay, so there is no way to look at both of them separately.
Okay, there is, if they give you the performance testing of the window assembly.
Okay.
But it's a document they probably don't want to share, but you can ask for that document. I look at those documents all the time because I need to ensure that the number they're giving you it's within compliance. So I check these specs for my client to tell them whether or not this window is more cost effective, this window is more expensive or not, and I advise them which window to pick, because it could be like one window quote I've seen before, like $350,000. Very expensive. Windows is crazy expensive.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you, Jack.
Okay, yeah. So this is why energy modeling can save you a lot of money just on Windows alone. And then they're not very cost effective. Something like this, like 50, 60 years payback. So it's not a very important upgrade to get. What you should focus on is solar heating coefficient. Solar heating coefficient is not mentioned anywhere right now in the current building code. When you do the national building code study, it talks about solar heating coefficient. That's a very important topic to discuss. So we can talk about that on a later date, but right now, most people will do energy modeling because I can save them a lot of money. And I'm talking about like $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 when you have a big window, big custom home. So this is important. So that's reason number 2. Now, I also want to show you this here. You see this energy rating of 34. So if you bought this window and when you went on site and saw this window, U 1.8 is actually compliant to this level here. That's U 1.82. So that's not even U 1.8, it's 2.0. But if you look at the energy rating of 34, that is right here, 34. That is deemed equivalent to a U 1.2 window. So this is something that can really confuse people. And what I want to tell you is, as long as you meet either the energy rating or the U value for your window, you can say that this window is equivalent to a U 1.2. But if you look at the U value, it's actually compliant to a 2.0. So it's either or. You don't have to meet with both columns. It's one column or the other. And in this case, I can say that your window is as good as a U 1.2 window because the energy rating is at 34 or higher. So you need to look at both. Don't just focus on the U value, also look at energy rating. And when I say solar heating coefficient, that's what this number is. The reason why this energy rating is so high is because it allows almost 60% of the sun's energy into the home. That's why the energy rating is so high for this window. But this window will for sure cause overheating. Even in the wintertime, it will cause overheating because it's allowing so much energy into here. I mean, this is a different topic on comfort, but in energy performance-wise and energy modeling, this window, I can model it as a 1.2 window because it's at energy rating 34 or higher. Okay, let's move on to reason number 3. So reason number 3 is avoid continuous installation in all building assemblies. So remember, A1 is the only package for the above grade wall where there's no continuous installation. Well, some people cannot build to A1 because they're using a different package. But if they are not using A1, they have to install continuous installation. Or when you do an addition, you have to use continuous installation. The only exception is if you do energy modeling. If you do energy modeling, you can actually not do energy continuous installation. For example, if I want to build to A4, I have to, according to A4, I need to do 2x6 at 16 inch on center, R22 back, plus an R5 continuous installation. As long as I meet those 7 sets of rules for the performance compliance, I could actually build this house, the same house, with a 2x6 at 16 inch on center with an R22 back. That is actually allowed. So I can actually remove completely the R5 requirement if I do energy modeling and if I comply with those 7 rules. So how do I comply with this seven rules? I can put in an air source heat pump and I can get rid of the R5 continuous installation. That's pretty much the trick right now. So another one is basement wall. So in the basement wall, a lot of builders, they like to, they have staircase, right? The staircase has to go beside the foundation. And sometimes if their staircase is beside the foundation, they like to put studs to hold it up. But in the A1 and A4 package, we want to see 100% R20 blanket, continuous installation. And that doesn't allow any interruption within that installation plane. So you need to do R20 all the way, and then you can build a stud in front of it. Well, when you do energy modeling, you do not need to follow that rule. You can have sections of your basement to have just 2x4 with an R20, R12 bat at the staircase. And then where you don't have any staircase, you can have R20 blanket everywhere. So it allows you to finish or complete the way you want in the basement, however you want. So you don't have to say R20 continuous installation. That is something you can avoid only if you do energy modeling. The other thing is, if your homeowners are thinking of using like any finished basement or finished ready basement, you could stud your house, put in R20 blanket, and then put in like bat insulation and leave it at that. So for those of you who've been working here long enough, there's used to be something called a package J, and package J used to be 2x6 R20 bat in the basement. Well, that is not allowed anymore under the current building code, but doing energy modeling allows you to go back to those scenarios if you wanted to, as long as you meet those 7 criteria. That's really important. Okay, so reason number 4 is you can sell more energy efficient homes quicker with an increased profit margin. So basically, what you can do is when you build houses, I have a lot of production builders. What they do is they try to sell upgrades, right? So if they wanted to sell you an upgrade, they will charge you for it. But in this case, they can say, I'll make you a finished ready basement so that when you finish, you can finish the basement yourself later on. Because a lot of people right now use the basement as a living space as well. And by giving them the ability to go back to 2x4 stud and installation, they are able to finish the basement later on. And that is very attractive to homeowners. But the current building code says you have to do R20 at 100% insulation. This actually changes for them. So this can help them create finished ready basement, because like once you have stud and insulation, the homeowner later on can finish the basement themselves. And that allows homeowners and builders to be very flexible in the way they finish the basement, and they don't have to spend a lot of money finishing it. So that's reason number 4. Reason number 5 is no HRV is required, exhaust fan only. So most of you probably understand that building code requires HRV or ERV. That's mandatory. But if you go through energy modeling, you do not need to install an HRV. You can just use an exhaust fan for your ventilation requirement. This is something that's pretty desirable when you have townhome building, because when you have townhouse development, there's very little room for you to vent the mechanical system. So having no HRV will save you 2 exterior vent insulation in the home that allows you for venting for other things like hot water tank or the furnace. So when you can remove the ability of installing an HRV, then you can save more room for other equipment. And HRVs are more expensive. So people sometimes like to save money and not install them and install exhaust fan only. Now, as an energy advisor, I do not recommend you not install an HRV. So it's really important that you include an HRV in your home, because that's your fresh air machine. That's the only way for you to guarantee to get fresh air 24/7. But in a townhouse development or in a stacked townhouse development, it is very challenging to vent HRVs, and those scenarios where you could consider not installing an HRV. And this is allowed under the energy modeling performance compliance. And this is the wording. It says you need to model an HRV in your reference house, but in the proposed design, you can install anything. You can put in exhaust fans only. It does not have to be an HRV. And you only do this when you don't have no room to vent or not enough room to vent. So that's one of the things that a lot of people are using. So if somebody tell you you must put in an HRV, it's only true under the prescriptive path. But under the performance path, energy modeling path, you do not need an HRV. That is allowed. Okay, and then number 6, I'll skip this one because this one is just more backup saying that you don't need to install the HRV. So now one thing I want you to understand is HRVs are tested and verified the efficiency of them. So under the building code, you must verify that the HRV you're installing is at least 75% at 30 liters per second. So it has to be at 75% at 30 liters per second. And that is the minimum efficiency for an HRV, right? That's this here. But sometimes you can see on the category, so make sure you check the efficiency of your HRV before you buy it. So if you were to buy this particular model, on the brochure, it would say, oh, great, it's actually at 75%. This rating is at 75%. Oh, it must be compliant. But then if you look into the actual performance of this equipment at 30 liters per second, the efficiency is only at 73%. It's not at 75%. So although in the summary says that this efficiency is at 75%, but if you look into it, at 30 liters per second, it's only at 73%. So this will make you incompliant if you were to pick with the prescriptive path. The only way to use this HRV is then through the performance path, because then I can model this equipment at 73% and show it still meets compliance. But this is not something you can do for your HRV under the prescriptive path, because not all HRV perform the same at 30 liters per second. And this one particular is only at 73, and it's not compliant through the prescriptive path. So you must go through energy modeling. So this is one way you can save this client. This is actually a real case where they installed this HRV by accident, and the building inspector said, hey, this equipment is not actually co-compliant, and then they would have to change 50 of these units out. But then they found me, and I say, no, you don't have to change them. Let me do energy modeling to help you to show that even if you install the HRV at 73%, you still meet building code compliance, and it saved them so much money. Because imagine you have to take everything out and put new ones. No one's gonna take the old equipment. So it was a big ticket for the builder. But in this case, I was able to help them using energy modeling. So I was very grateful for that. So that's something you guys should know as well. Okay, reason number 6, no drain water heat recovery units. So everybody knows that drain water heat recovery unit is mandatory as per the prescriptive path. But through the performance path, I could actually model it out. I can actually remove the need of installing the drain water heat recovery. This unit is about $700 with material and labor. So $700 pays for itself, because cost of energy modeling is around $1,000, And right away, I saved you $700. And I can realize other savings at the same time. So this is something you don't have to do if you do energy modeling. But if you do prescriptive fat, drinking water heat recovery is mandatory. So that's reason number 6. And this is another letter from the ministry saying that drinking water heat recovery is not mandatory. So it's just similar to the other slide. This is actually the building code advisory unit. So building code advisor, right? That's Danny. He retired already, but this is an email from them stating that this is how you can meet compliance. And this is something that they said, not me making it up. And I'm just sharing with you guys that you are able to remove the drinking water heat recovery. Okay, reason number 7. This is the second last reason. I have a lot of builder who does energy saving programs such as the Savings by Design program. If you can show that your home is 15% more energy efficient than the Ontario Building Code, Enbridge has a rebate up to $100,000 for the builder. So that's an incentive from Enbridge Gas. Another thing is for CMHC mortgage insurance rebate, you can get up to 15 to 20% of your premium rebate back to the homeowner. So for people who has a high risk buyer, who people only have like a 5% down payment, they have to buy CMHC mortgage insurance. You can get a rebate if you show them that your house is more energy efficient. And that is through energy modeling. So that's the 7th reason. And then the last reason is getting you rebates and trade-offs. So in the next version of building code, if you are able to show that your house is more airtight, you could actually get a lot of credits. So you're getting yourself ready for the next building code, and also you're getting yourself ready for net zero. Because when in BC, all houses has to meet an air tightness test. If you don't do the blow door test and meet an air tightness target, you don't get occupancy. I can see that coming into Ontario very, very soon in the next few years. And this is why it's a good idea to start getting trades and manufacturers and also designers to enforce air tightness testing. This will get you ready and get you lots of compliance bonus points when you do building code upgrades. So this is really, really something that I push for. I do a lot of air tightness training, and this is something you have to do if you want to comply with net zero, or if you want to comply with the next version of building code. Without doing air tightness training, you have to spend a lot more money to make it co-compliant, because you have to get more insulation, better windows, better mechanical system just to comply. And air tightness doesn't cost money. It's all about details. If you execute the details properly, you will hit these targets. So those are the 8 reasons why we do energy modeling. And by 2032, all new housing has to hit 1.5 air change to comply for single family homes. So that's a net zero air tightness target. You must do it. If you don't, you're not going to get your occupancy permit. This is actually already written as a law in our construction code industry. So our industry is going to adhere to this performance dearly. Because without it, you're not going to be able to build. So those are the 8 reasons. Now, let me also explain to you why I like air tightness. If you don't build your houses airtight, you're going to waste a lot of energy. You're also going to promote frotting in your assembly. This can happen due to air tightness. So it's really important that you make it really, really airtight. And the reason why air tightness is more important than vapor control is because air tightness carries 90 times more moisture content compared to vapor diffusion. So what this diagram is saying is that in one heating season with a hole that is 1 inch square, through air leakage versus vapor diffusion, it would collect 30 quarts of water compared to a 1/3 quart of water. That's 90 times more. And if you express this into a percentage, that is 9,000% higher moisture content. And that's why you have rotting. That's why you lose a lot of energy. that is due to air leakage. So if you want your house to be airtight and comfortable and durable and resilient and everything else, you want it to be airtight. Really critical here. Okay, so this is a summary page showing you, why you do it. So for me, these are the 8 reasons. You want to build a dream home with a lot of window to wall ratio, you do energy modeling. Number 2 is you want to keep your window costs down, you have to do energy modeling. Number 3, if you want to avoid doing continuous installation, energy modeling is the way to go. Number 4, you can sell more energy efficient homes quicker with an increased profit margin. That's another reason for builders why they would want to do it. Number 5 is no HRV required, exhaust fans only. Number 6, no drain water heat recovery unit needed. I can avoid it doing energy modeling. Number 7, be $100,000 richer. Savings by design by Enbridge. And number 8 is be Ontario Building Code 2022 ready and NBC 2022 ready. Because NBC is coming. It's coming spring of next year. And we all have to learn this. So, and yeah, so that's it. Really, all I want to share with you guys. Actually, let me show you this. So on these slides, it's really the like other ways. So this is a performance energy modeling comparing how you could make a home more energy efficient. So this is performance path. This is prescriptive path. So when I say comparing the two, so instead of doing R60 in the attic, I can go R50. Instead of doing R22 batt with 2x6 at 16 inch on center, I can do 2x6 at 24 inch on center to save money on my wood. In the basement, rather than doing R20 continuous installation, I can do 2x4 with an R12 batt. And to save money that way. I can install better windows, better hot water tank, and remove the drain water heat recovery and do a blow door test to make building code compliance. Now, for this particular builder who did this package, they were able to save about $1,500 every house they built. And that's why they picked performance compliance. So the reason most people do this as a production level, they like to save money. That's the pure reason why they do it. So that's pretty much the reason why most builders take my service. Now the rest is if you look at here, this is the more example of how you can calculate effective RSI value. So I gave you these questions, right? And then I also gave you answers here. I don't know if you guys have this presentation, but I shared it with Lola already. So I don't know if she's here, but if she's here, then she could.
So no excuse. I shared them.
Okay, you did. Okay, so please learn it because I actually charge around $500 to calculate one of these calculations and write a letter to tell the city that the way you're building is compliant with the building code. So it's a service I charge for it, and so it's actually very useful information. And then the examples I gave you here, A1, these are all the numbers that you'll see under the A1 table. So if you look at A1 table, R31 roof, it will show 4.87. And I'm teaching you how exactly they came up with those numbers. So you can learn this skill and start charging people for this service as well. It's totally doable.
So how long, Jack, until one becomes comfortable? Like how many exercises does one have to do of these till they become, like comfortable doing it? Is it easy or is it like
so what I did is
always get a second opinion after they do it a couple of times? Like, what's your recommendation?
So I would say if you follow the detail that I shared in this document, this document I gave you, the opaque assembly, this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is 11 examples at the back. At the last pages, there's 11 examples. So I use this document so much, it's actually a shortcut on my Acrobat because I use it so much. And then the way I learned it is I went to the last pages and then I look at these 11 examples. And what I did is I made sure I know exactly how I came up with these numbers, how it came up with these numbers. And I followed this example 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, until I very comfortably know how I came, like how this number came about. And from there, so if you ask me, I would say 3 examples of each assembly. If you can do that 1 time, then you're good to go. Then you'll feel comfortable, and then you can start providing this service. And I'm more than happy to, like, you know, walk you guys through more example when, you know, and other sessions, because I feel like 2 hours to learn this is like very, very, very short period of time. So, but I do want to help this group. I think you guys, what you are doing is so meaningful. And if I could assist this group, by all means.
I think it would be nice if we like try it on our own, like you said, follow the examples, and then see if we are like send you, let's say, or maybe if you're willing, we can send you like, this is what we did. Is this right? Our assumptions, and then because the examples that you gave us probably have answers, right?
Yes. So I gave
Yeah. So I wanted to. Do you have ones that don't have answers so that we can test our, you know, like? Would you have any that don't have answers so we can test ourselves?
Like these ones are blank. So the purpose I put these ones, I want you to try first to see.
So there is, okay.
Actually try it, but then if you're lost, then I have the answers at the end to help you, to identify where you got these numbers. But this is very, so I just want to let you know, like this section alone, this RSI calculator is a half-day training for energy advisors. So for me to teach it to you in like 10 minutes, it's impossible. I would never be able to teach someone.
No, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm just saying that, okay, so the examples you provided are sufficient for us to test our own knowledge and, you know, just go over them. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, now, yes, baby. Okay, you can share with me. Do you guys have any questions you wanna ask me? Well, I don't mind. I still have time. So here, Jacqueline, you can come. Okay, say hi, baby.
Hi.
Okay. Say hi, Jacqueline.
Hi.
She likes to join all my meetings when I teach at home. So
She's a good student.
right. You're a good student.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are a good student. She goes to daycare. No, she actually is at senior kindergarten right now. She's turning 5. Okay. It is a lot of material you're being presented to, and it takes practice to learn for sure. So I'm not gonna try to like make it easy and say, yeah, it's easy, don't worry about it. It does take time and commitment, but I'm happy to give you guys advice or guidance if you have building code questions regarding energy efficiency, because that's what I do on a daily basis. So for your group, more than happy to answer any of your questions in the future.
Thank you, thank you. No, we won't bug you unless we really, really, really are stuck. So we'll try on our own and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and if you want, you could talk to us. We can have another session just to go over the example. Like I walk you guys through each example, maybe in a week or so, or in 2 weeks or something like that.
Okay.
Try it, and then maybe in a few weeks we can connect again and say, hey Jack, let's focus 1 hour just on effective RSI calculation. We can invite people who is interested to join this session, and I can walk you through the examples. And you can give me other examples that can show you how to calculate them on a live basis.
Right. That would be nice. So I have some questions on the chat. It says, is there any reference that you recommend for details for airtight construction?
Yes, the CHBA Builder Manual.
CHBA?
CHBA Builder Manual.
I'm writing it in the chat. You just let me know if I got that right.
Yeah,
CH
it's right there. I have it in my chat as
Oh,
well.
you put it before me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a very, very good book.
Mm-hmm.
I also create custom air sealing details for my projects as well, especially for my net zero projects. They're very, very critical. So it would be very important that we learn how to build houses airtight. Because without airtightness, you're not gonna get net zero.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, I guess
Hi.
oh,
Yeah.
and we thank you so much, Jack, for this informative session, and we promise to do the exercises, and
Dad, you
proud of us.
good, but not really good.
I'm not Passive House certified. I have done courses on Passive House to understand the program because I'm interested in energy efficiency. But really, I'm all net zero. That's really what I'm focused on because I believe net zero is more affordable and more practical. But I love the idea of the Passive House being energy efficient and the details and airtightness that they provide. That's a very good session to learn, like airtightness. It's so important. But they're both great programs. They're both really good programs. If you guys are interested to learn more about net zero homes or Energy Star, I can also give you training on those topics because it's something that people are doing. And more people have to do net zero. So that link I sent you, the training costs about $600, but if you register it, it's for free this time.
I think that's a very good opportunity, everybody. If you can make it, that would be great.
They
Yeah.
give you free breakfast and free lunch as well. So
Okay, that convinced me.
So I take it because I'm sending, one company is sending 50 of their people there, 50.
Wow.
150. So they're really saving a lot of money. And parking is free as well. If you attend, they give you free parking.
Okay, I'm registering.
Yeah, you should. It's very good material and information. There will be over 200 people attending those sessions. So that'll be a good day.
Where is it? Where is it? Do you know?
It's near the airport in Mississauga.
So we can actually even say that we heard this from you, A&J Energy Consultants.
Yeah, well, I'm teaching there too, so you can totally go. Like, yeah, by all means. Because if you guys are the next generation of architects, that's going to help us to make our homes more sustainable. So my mission in life, my purpose in life is to preserve our world, make the earth a more sustainable and greener place for generations to come. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So for me to promote energy efficiency, it's fulfilling my purpose. So it would be very much a humble and an honorable thing for me to help more people understand what energy efficiency and net zero is about, so we can all make an impact to make our earth more resilient, comfortable, peaceful, loving, all of that. So that's what I want to do. So
that's great, Jack. We're proud of you and thank you for all your efforts.
So yeah, please take the training. It's very expensive and they're paying it for free. So
I registered
already. So good for you.
Yep.
You'll be happy to learn those information because you're gonna get a lot of builders there too, and they might be able to use your service in the future as well.
Right.
Because they need to work with architects, and you guys are there to help them. And if you guys understand the program and you speak the same language, then they'll want to work with you, right?
Yep. Makes sense.
Okay, you can find my company information here, and then you can, that's my
I can share.
email address. You guys can send me anything. If you guys want to create a group somewhere and then just ask me questions, when I do training, usually I have a like a WhatsApp chat group, and then they just ask me questions on there, and I just answer them. So rather than you calling or emailing me, sometimes they love the format in a group chat because they'll be like, oh, if I have this issue, where do I look for the reference?
Yeah, we have a similar setup, and it's I think it's fast and effective. Yeah, especially when somebody needs a quick answer and they're like in a fix. So that's great that you have the time to also answer these questions like that.
I have a team. I have a really good team, and they can. So, but I'll join too, and then I invite my team member because I just like when you told me what you're doing, I fell in love. So
Great.
I would love to be able to help and give back for this cause. I think we need more people like you in this world. So,
And like you're doing a great job too. So kudos to you.
Yeah, no, kudos to you. People like you deserve more. So thank you for setting it up.
Thank you. Okay, we'll let you go because I know your daughter is waiting. And thank you everybody for attending. And hopefully we can bug Jack. We'll give him a break now, and then we'll bug him later on when we find another topic or we did our exercises. We'll try and bug him again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Okay, bye for now.
Have a good night. Thank you, Jack. Thanks.
Take care, guys. Bye for
Bye.
now. I'll see you around.